Hello, everybody. MB Geek, MB Geeks. Let's talk. We are talking episode 6, Book of Boba Fett. And this was actually a pretty interesting episode. Most of it really kind of broke down into 3 parts. So let's go over all 3 parts. It starts off with the Pikes out near what turns out to be Mos Pelgo. And the Marshal, Cobb, shows up and basically tells them, leave, I don't want to see this, we don't want it. They draw down on him. One of them is smart enough not to freaking shoot, even though there was 4 of them. He took out 3. Told the guy to think it over. And that was interesting. And then he sees it, it's spice, he just kicks it over, basically just wastes it. Which is probably what a lot of people would do with things like if they found cocaine or something like that. Then we get to the next part of Cobb's thing when the Mandalorian comes and is trying to recruit the town of Mos Pelgo. He thinks about it. He considers a town meeting, and then we get a stranger who just starts walking up. I mean, this is old classic Western shit. Guy walking up in the middle of the desert. He's got the hat on, and as he starts getting closer, first thought I'm thinking is this fucking Cad Bane? And sure enough, it is. And that's when I got fucking concerned, because I'm like, this guy's Duras. He's 70 years old. Their species does not normally live past 69. So they're not one of the longer living species. But he still manages to have it. He's working for the Pikes. He gives the Marshal an ultimatum. And there's a shootout. His deputy's killed. And I don't think Cobb has been killed. It looks like really he got shot in the shoulder. And I think this is going to come back in episode 7 to bite them in the ass for the Pikes. I have a feeling Mos Pelgo will actually rally around the Marshal after seeing this crap and be like, okay, nah, we ain't playing this game. So that was really the first part of it. Set over the entire episode. And then you have the part with basically Din Djarin going to planet. We're not exactly told the planet. I don't know. Some people were thinking maybe it's Endor or Yavin. I don't think it's either one of those. I just don't think so. But I'm not sure. We see Luke Skywalker training with Grogu, and it really comes down to, this is more of an episode with Grogu and his trying to separate between being a Mandalorian foundling and a Jedi Padawan. Because he doesn't remember a lot of what happens. In fact, Luke has to help him remember certain things. And we get a really interesting shot of from what happened in Revenge of the Sith and what he may have experienced and saw. We don't know. We still don't know who saved him. As far as I know some people have theories. They think it may have been the Jedi Librarian. That's possible. I honestly do not know. So he's training with Grogu, trying to get him to establish his balance with the Force. And he's being very patient with him. I mean, this is a very different... He's not, this isn't the Luke we saw early on, impulsive, quick to judgment calls without using the Force. This is a much calmer, much seasoned Luke Skywalker. He's a Jedi Master now. This isn't the Jedi Knight we saw in Return of the Jedi, sorry. And Mandalorian wants to give him the gift of which turns out to be chainmail, which I thought was quite nice. And there's a difference in the creeds between the Jedi forsaking attachments and the Mandalorian way of attachments and loyalty to oneself. Loyalty to his people are, everything. And Grogu is conflicted with this, and we see that in his character, which I thought was very well done. Well, Luke goes through, is doing training with him, and we get some nice callbacks, some fan service to watching Luke do the jump back and forth, flipping, kind of doing some of the stuff he did on Dagobah. So that was nice. But then he kind of gives Grogu, a choice. Apparently, Luke has somehow gotten a hold of Yoda'S old lightsaber. Maybe it was on Dagobah. We don't really know. We never saw him with it on there. I assumed he lost it and didn't have it after Revenge of the Sith, but we could be completely wrong in that. But he gives him a choice between the chainmail and going back with the Mandalorian or taking the lightsaber. I think this is really kind of a test, maybe similar to he's trying to avoid what he did on Dagobah when he left, when he wasn't ready to deal with the burden of it. We also find out now, the question has been answered, does Ahsoka know Luke Skywalker? Well, Ahsoka shows up, and we know this. She knows who he is. She knows he is the son of Anakin Skywalker. So it would be interesting. That means there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of history she can tell him about his father during that time. And that was really one of the best parts about it, just that little bit of dialogue. And Luke even being like, I don't know how to necessarily train him. Because this is Luke's literally first student. And Ahsoka is much older than Luke. I mean, remember, Ahsoka was a Padawan during the Clone Wars. And here we are 18 years later. And, she's not a teacher. She's got her own mission that we're going to see in the Ahsoka series. But, she seems to be kind of maybe helping him figure out how he should form his Jedi Academy. At least that was the impression I got. The choice, what Grogu's going to do, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens Wednesday. I don't know which one he's going to choose. I have no clue, and I'm not even going to bother speculating. But when we get back to Tatooine, you have the Pikes, and they blow up one of the frickin' bars that Boba Fett was meant to protect. So that basically, for all intents and purposes, was the first salvo to war. And I think we're in for one hell of a battle coming up. And a lot of people think Boba Fett had, Cad Bane calls him a cold-blooded killer, worked for the Empire. I would not be surprised if this is when we see him cut loose. He's probably been, obviously with the Tusken Raiders, he maybe changed a little bit, adapted his style, but he's still a crime lord. So he's going to have to be ruthless. And it's not like the Tuskens were Mormons or anything like that. So I have a feeling we're going to see Boba Fett really cut loose in this next one. And it'll be interesting to see who else shows up in Episode 7. Overall, another good episode. I enjoyed it. Alright, folks. MB Geek. Take care.